Weekly receiving leaders. Some of the favorites you can find, and this is something that Joe and we've done a little bit last year, but it's been fun. So receiving leaders, some of the favorites, most receiving yards on Sunday, just Sunday. Tyreek Hill 6-1, Jamar Chase 8-1, Amon-Ra St. Brown plus 850. Ed, we'll start with you. Is there any one of those guys or down the board where you see value for most receiving yards on Sunday?
I'm going down the board. I'm looking for games that are going to be indoors, games that could very well be shootouts, higher totals, all that fun stuff, and maybe a receiver we already like a lot. How about DK Metcalf at 25-1? Maybe Geno Smith just had a bad game, quasi-bad game. It will return to him, especially if Detroit continues to score a lot, then that'll give Seattle a lot of opportunities to shine here. So I think DK Metcalf at 25-1 offers some great value.
All right, you guys know I'm hunting for value, so that's what I'm doing here in all of these markets. I'm on Ross St. Brown. I can't believe the number that I see on him to be the receiving leader. It's indoors. These two teams scored over 90 last year. He's 50-1. If they're paying attention, if they're taking Tyreek out, maybe Waddle at 50-1 is worth the play, and Ridley hanging around at 40-1 is also a pretty good look in what could be a complete shootout.
I see how Tyreek could be taken out of this against a Bill Belichick defense, but I can't ignore the fact he had 215 yards, and the next closest was JJ with 152. That's crazy. If you don't like Tyreek at 6-1, I think Jamar Chase will have a bounce-back game at 8-1, and I love the value there. So a couple places to look: Tyreek Hill 6-1, and Jamar Chase 8-1.
Ed, we're looking for the most rushing yards on Sunday.
I'm curious if we leave too much time on the clock, if that means that we give the opponents too much time to score. So I have some real concerns there. So I'll try and drag this out. Again, what team is probably going to play with a lead and rush the ball a good bit more? And maybe it's a running back we have some respect for. How about Tony Pollard at 10-1? I mean, we think the Cowboys could very well win this game handily, and it may also include Dak Prescott just not throwing it very much and keeping it conservative so that there aren't turnovers there. So I think Pollard keeps the ball in his mitts. He should run a good bit, and we've seen this before when the Cowboys get off to huge leads. Used to be Zeke time, now it's Tony Pollard time. So at 10-1, I love the value there.
I also see an 18-1 out there, Ed, so make sure you shop around in these markets. And another one in that same price range. I don't like as many names in this in the rushing market. Like, I get why Chubb's a favorite, why Henry's up there because of the matchup, but bounce back spot, what could be a route. Saquon is 20-1. Saquon 20 against Arizona. They should win that game. Aaron?
This is gonna be controversial. The Jets will definitely have to run the ball with Zach Wilson as their quarterback. Breece Hall, 45-1. He had the second most rushing yards last week behind Christian McCaffrey, and I think the Jets will have to run the ball. They really have no other choice. I don't think Zach Wilson's very good. So at 45-1, I love Breece Hall. I also looked at McCaffrey. He sliced and diced the Steelers' defense on the ground. I think he can do that again against the Rams. So a value play and a chalky play for you.
Mahomes, Tua, Josh Allen, Herbert, of course, at the top of the board, going there or elsewhere for the most passing yards on Sunday. Of course, Joe Burrow, who is 8-1, had all of 82 yards last week.
So as I'm looking down the board here, it looks like that Chiefs-Jaguars, that is the highest total game, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Lions Seahawks probably should be higher than 47. But yeah, if Chiefs and Jaguars, that's the highest game, and the Jaguars are dogs and they're going to have to pass more, then why not go after Trevor Lawrence? I mean, we love Calvin Ridley. We feel like he'll go over his receiving prop. Might be the last week we get a good number there. But as far as what Trevor Lawrence can do, I mean, especially with an offensive line we don't trust, why not take Trevor Lawrence here and assume pocket manipulation will be how he keeps this game close? I expect he's going to air this out a lot. And so I think Lawrence is a great value play here, Joe.
I have Lawrence circled. So he's a name that I really like here. What number did you see there, Ed?
15-1.
Okay, so another example, because I keep thinking I'm doing something wrong, and Paul makes me double check my work because when I throw some of these numbers out there, it looks like he's like, "What is he talking about?" I'm looking at a 30 for Trevor Lawrence, a 30-1 for Trevor
Oh, good
Lawrence.
grief.
Yeah, and also, by the way, there's a 30 for Burrow that I'm a little uneasy
Oh,
with the
that
way
was
he looked,
mine.
but just for 30 for Burrow is out there. Okay, but here, I'll let you take Burrow. Here's another one. Goff indoors potential shootout 25-1. I see a lot of projections that have him already with the second most passing yards of the week, only behind Mahomes. So Goff is worth a shot.
This one was the toughest one for me to figure out. A lot of options, but I really landed on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I really think Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, everyone on that team is going to bounce back, and I think that Joe Burrow is just going to have a monster game and prove that last week was just an anomaly and that he is much better than the effort that they put on the field. There's one quarterback.
Yes, we got
Oh!
Oh.
Since Kelsey's coming back, I can't imagine Noah Gray leads this team in routes run again. I think we're getting something a little bit different in week 2. And that's why I'm going to Christian Kirk's receiving prop, actually. And that'll probably shock some people, since Kirk actually didn't run a route on less than 80% of dropbacks in any game with Trevor Lawrence last year. But then we saw what happened in week 1, where he didn't play in 2 wide sets and ran around on just 67% of dropbacks. But the Jaguars were not pushed by the Colts. The Jaguars ran 11 personnel, used their 3 wide sets at only the 25th highest rate in the league. The Colts didn't force them to pass the ball, whereas if we get Kelsey, we think we're going to get pushed back. And if that's the case, the slot and Christian Kirk is where we want to go back to. Remember, in these 2 games last year against the Chiefs, he had 12 and 14 targets. The Chiefs in week 1 allowed 123 receiving yards to the slot to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then last year, that makes sense, since in 2022, they allowed the 4th most catches to the slot. And so I try to ignore Kirk's 9% target share in week 1 and just think he's going to be on the field significantly more in a total that's one of the more fun ones, 51 points on the week.
This is going to give me a migraine if I read this analysis one more darn time. And it is this notion that the Patriots are going to come out and play a ton of man coverage, and Tyreek Hill and company are really good against man coverage. Guys, did we just forget who the head coach for the Patriots is? Have we forgotten like all the Super Bowls he's won and how much of a defensive mastermind he is and things like that? Yes, the Patriots do play a lot of man coverage. I understand that. And they have the personnel to play a lot of man coverage. That's fine. But don't you think that Bill Belichick knows how good the Dolphins are against man, and that they're going to disguise these things just a little bit more, maybe play a little bit more zone, or maybe make the man look different enough to where it confuses Tua a little bit? I get that, Tagovailoa has played well against the Patriots, has that 4-0 winning record or whatever. That's fine. But part of that, too, is that the Patriots defensively, it's been a little inconsistent. I like this unit a little bit more this year. And this is a place where, yeah, the Dolphins may kind of come back down to reality offensively. And yes, I do think that Mac Jones can play better. So what I really like in this game is the over 46.5. That's the play I really like. But I do feel like that the Dolphins aren't going to run away with this thing. Alternate spread's a really bad idea. Patriots money line is not a bad idea. The over total is what I like, Aaron. But ultimately, I think this is something where we need to give a little bit more respect to Bill Belichick in a matchup like this.
Tua playing like he's playing right now, and Tyreek, 215 yards. Obviously, he's not going to be able to do that again, but his props at 84.5. There's an 83.5. I mean, I think that number is going to be gone as weeks go on. It's just going to go up and up. So I still lean Dolphins here, Joe.
We talked a lot about the Dolphins winning the AFC East at 3-1 in the offseason. So we like this team. But with that said, I also believe that this is extreme overreaction on the Dolphins. They're now the favorite after one game to win the division. They go from third to first, and I get it with the Rodgers injury. But I mean, for them to be favored over the Bills after one game, I think that's lunacy. I think Tua as a co-favorite for MVP is crazy, crazy town. Tyreek as a offensive player of the year favorite, I'm okay with that one. And I'm sick of hearing about how Tua has not lost to Belichick. Oh, so that's just going to continue forever, right? They're going to play each other 2 times a year, and Belichick's never going to get the best of Tua. Like, he didn't spend the entire offseason knowing that we're going to play this guy twice, and he's 4-0 against us, and we can't have this. We've got to scheme it. We got to figure this out with the McDaniel offense. Like, of course that's what he was doing. But people think it's just going to continue. That's crazy. And, the Dolphins, Armstead was limited yesterday. So maybe he's going to be out there this weekend. And I am concerned with the Patriots. 2 of their starters did not practice once again on Thursday. So check out the final injury report. But that Dolphins defense gave up a ton. Maybe it's going to take a little time because you're dealing with the Ramsey injury until likely late in the season. And, the Dolphins said, go ahead, Chargers, go ahead and run it. Well, I don't think they're going to do the same. Vic Fangio's not going to do that with the Patriots because the Patriots will gladly do some of that. But I was impressed with what I saw out of Mac Jones last week against the Eagles. And they're no slouches when it comes to their defense. So I like the Patriots +3. I absolutely think they're live to win this game.